The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was bigger than any building Lisa Carter had ever seen. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that changed colors when different aliens spoke. Blue light flowed across the surface when the fish-like Aquarians talked. Red flames danced when the rock people from Granite Prime said something. It was beautiful and scary at the same time. Lisa stood at the small podium in the center of the huge room. Around her, hundreds of alien beings sat in curved rows that went up and up until they disappeared into shadows. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Lisa had to work hard not to stare. She wore her best dark blue suit, the one with the small Earth flag pin on the collar. Her hands shook just a little as she held her data pad. This was the biggest moment of her life. Maybe the biggest moment for all of humanity. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," Lisa began. Her voice sounded small in the enormous space, but the crystal walls picked it up and made it louder. "I come before you today with a simple request from the people of Earth." Behind her, Dr. Kevin Hayes and Commander Jake Morrison stood perfectly still. Kevin was a thin man with gray hair who knew more about space science than almost anyone on Earth. Jake was tall and strong, with the kind of calm face that came from years of military service. Both men had traveled across the galaxy to be here today. Lisa took a breath and continued. "My planet wants permission to build a research station in the Veil Nebula. We believe we can study the area safely and maybe find resources that could help everyone in the galaxy." A soft sound came from the alien crowd. It might have been interest, or it might have been something else. Lisa could not tell. The Veil Nebula was a dangerous place. It was a huge cloud of gas and dust where space itself seemed to twist and bend. Ships that went there sometimes came back damaged. Sometimes they did not come back at all. Most species in the galaxy stayed far away from it. "We have studied the nebula for 5 years," Lisa said. "Our scientists believe the strange effects there might actually be useful. We think we can work with them instead of fighting them." She touched her data pad, and a hologram appeared above her head. It showed Earth's research about the nebula. Charts and numbers filled the air, all in the simple style that humans used. It looked very basic compared to the fancy displays that other species usually showed. "We do not ask for much," Lisa continued. "Just a small station on the edge of the nebula. We will share anything we learn with the whole council. We believe this could help everyone travel faster through space." The hologram showed pictures of the research station they wanted to build. It looked like a metal flower with 5 arms stretching out. Each arm would have different equipment for studying the nebula's strange effects. In the crowd, aliens began to whisper to each other. Lisa could see some of them looking at the human display with expressions she could not read. Were they interested? Bored? It was hard to tell with faces so different from human ones. The Zephyrians sat in the front row. They were tall and blue, with long necks and silver eyes. They had been traveling through space for thousands of years and thought they knew everything about it. Their leader, a female named Veltar, watched Lisa with what looked like amusement. Behind them sat the Andromedians. They looked like walking crystals, all sharp angles and bright lights. They controlled most of the trade in the galaxy and loved to talk about money and profit. Their representative, Kixanth, was already running calculations on a device that floated in front of him. The ethereals were harder to see. They were beings of pure energy who rarely had solid forms. They appeared as glowing clouds that shifted between different colors. The oldest one, Mordon, had been alive for so long that some said he remembered when the galaxy was young. The research station would be small, Lisa said, trying to keep her voice steady. Only 50 people would work there. We have new shielding, technology that we think can protect them from the nebula's effects. She showed more pictures. The shields looked simple compared to what other species used. They were just layers of metal and energy fields, the kind of thing that humans had been building for decades. We have run many tests, Lisa continued. Our computer models show that the station should be safe. We are ready to start building. As soon as we get permission, Kevin stepped forward slightly. He was the expert on the technical parts of the plan. If the council had questions about how the station would work, he would answer them. Jake stayed perfectly still. He was there in case anyone questioned whether humans could protect themselves in such a dangerous place. His job was to look confident and capable, which he did very well. Lisa finished her presentation and stood quietly. The hologram faded away, leaving just the three humans standing in the center of the huge room. Around them, hundreds of alien eyes watched and waited. The silence stretched on. Lisa could hear her own heartbeat. This was the moment when the council would decide. Would they give humanity a chance to prove itself? Or would they say no, like they had said no to so many human requests before? Finally, Veltar stood up. The tall Zephyrian moved with fluid grace, and her silver eyes seemed to sparkle with something that might have been humor. "How fascinating," she said in a voice like singing wind. "The young humans want to play in the dangerous nebula." Other aliens began to stir. Some made sounds that might have been laughter. Others just watched with obvious interest, as if they were about to see something entertaining. Lisa felt her heart sink. She had hoped for a serious discussion about the proposal. Instead, it seemed like the council was already treating it as a joke. But she stood straight and kept her face calm. Whatever happened next, she would represent humanity with dignity. Behind her, Kevin and Jake did the same. They had come too far to give up now. Veltar's words hung in the air like a challenge. Around the great hall, more aliens began to make sounds. Some were definitely laughing now. Others were talking to their neighbors in excited whispers. Lisa felt her cheeks get hot, but she kept her voice steady. "We understand the dangers, honored representative. That is why we have spent so much time preparing." The Zephyrian leader smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp and too white. "Oh, I am sure you have prepared. Just like the Korax prepared when they tried to build in the nebula 300 years ago. Their station lasted exactly 17 days before the space storms tore it apart." More laughter came from the crowd. Lisa noticed that some aliens were already turning to talk to each other, as if the human proposal was not worth their full attention. "The Deltans tried next," Veltar continued, her voice getting louder. "They were so confident in their gravity shields. The nebula crushed their station like an egg. 200 good people died that day." The laughter was getting quieter now, but Lisa could still feel the amusement in the room. It was like being a child who had asked to play with adult tools. Qix single quotes. Nth, the crystal Andromedian, stood up next. His body caught the light from the chamber walls and threw it back in rainbow patterns. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind. "Chimes, let us talk about numbers," he said. "The cost of building a station in the Veil Nebula would be enormous. The materials alone would cost more than your entire planet makes in a year. And that is before you lose it all when the station is destroyed." He waved his hand, and a hologram appeared above his head. It showed charts and graphs covered with numbers that made Lisa's eyes hurt to look at. Everything was in red, a color that meant loss and failure. "Your species has been in space for only 50 years, Hickson continued. "You have 7 small colonies and a few trading posts. You think you can succeed where species with thousands of years of experience have failed." The crystal being's laughter sounded like breaking glass. It would be like giving a child a fusion reactor and expecting them not to blow up their house. More aliens joined in the laughter. Lisa saw some of them pointing at the human delegation. Her face was burning now, but she forced herself to stay calm. Kevin stepped forward. If I may address the cost concerns, he said quietly. Human engineering is different from what has been tried before. We do not fight the nebula's effects. We work with them. Work with them? Beltar's voice was full of mockery. Child, the nebula creates space storms that can rip apart a moon. It bends gravity until up and down have no meaning. It makes time move in different directions. You think you can work with forces that destroyed civilizations? Dr. Hayes pulled out his own datapad. Our tests show that the nebula's effects follow patterns. If we can predict those patterns, we can predict them? The interruption came from Mordun, the ancient ethereal. His glowing form pulsed with colors that hurt to look at. I have studied the nebula for 3,000 years. It does not follow patterns. It follows chaos. The ancient being's voice was like thunder in the distance. Your species still thinks the universe makes sense. You think everything can be measured and controlled. The nebula will teach you differently, if you live long enough to learn. Lisa tried again. We are not asking for much, just permission to try. If we fail, we will accept responsibility. If we succeed, everyone benefits. Everyone benefits? Kixanth's crystal form sparkled with amusement. What could humans possibly discover that we have not already found? Your technology is barely beyond chemical rockets. Your computers are simple machines. Your shields are made of basic metals. He gestured to the hologram of Earth's research station. Look at this design. It is so primitive. You want to protect yourselves from the most dangerous forces in the galaxy with simple metal plates and energy fields that any child could build. The laughter was spreading now. Lisa could see aliens in the back rows, standing up to get a better. Look at the humans who thought they could do the impossible. Commander Morrison had not said a word yet. He stood like a statue, his face showing nothing. But Lisa could see the tension in his shoulders. Jake was a soldier, and soldiers did not like being laughed at. Perhaps, said another voice, we should be more helpful to our young friends. The speaker was Zakron, representative of the hegemony. His species looked almost human, except for their gray skin and black eyes. They considered themselves the unofficial leaders of the galaxy, and everyone listened when they spoke. The humans want to contribute, Zakron continued. This is admirable, but they need to learn their place first. He stood up, and his voice carried easily through the hall. I propose a compromise. We give the humans permission to build a mining station on asteroid K-47 in their home system. It is a safe place where they can practice their engineering skills. When they have learned enough, maybe in a few hundred years, they can try bigger projects. The suggestion hit Lisa like a physical blow. K-47 was a dead rock that had been mined out decades ago. There was nothing there except empty tunnels and worthless stone. It was the kind of place you sent people when you wanted to keep them busy, without letting them do anything important. The laughter that followed was the loudest yet. Aliens throughout the hall were enjoying the joke. Give the humans a useless asteroid and let them pretend they were doing real work. Think of it as training, Zakron said with a smile that was supposed to look kind. Like giving a child a toy. Hammer before they are old enough for real tools. Lisa felt something break inside her chest. Not anger, exactly. More like disappointment so deep it felt like drowning. She had expected the council to say no to the nebula proposal. That would have been honest rejection, but this was worse. This was being patted on the head and told to go play in the corner while the adults talked about important things. She looked around the hall at all the alien faces. Some were still laughing. Others looked bored, as if the human delegation was. Just a minor entertainment between more serious business. Kevin was staring at his datapad, his face pale. All his careful research, all his brilliant theories about working with the nebula's effects, reduced to a joke that made aliens laugh. Jake's jaw was tight, but he had not moved. Military training had taught him to stay calm under pressure. But Lisa could see the anger in his eyes. "Well?" Zakron asked. "Do the humans accept this generous offer? A safe place to practice their skills until they are ready for bigger challenges?" The laughter was dying down now. The aliens were waiting for the humans to be grateful for the crumbs they were being offered. Lisa looked at her datapad. 5 years of work. 5 years of studying the nebula, running tests, building models, proving that their ideas could work. All of it dismissed as the fantasies of children who did not know their place. She closed the datapad with a quiet click. Sound was small, but somehow it carried through the entire hall. The laughter stopped. Aliens turned to look at her. Lisa stood up straighter. She looked around the hall one more time, seeing all the faces that had been laughing at her and her. Species. Then she did something that no one expected. Lisa did not argue. She did not make angry speeches. She did not try to convince anyone that humans deserve better treatment. Instead, she did something that caught everyone off guard. She turned around and started walking toward the exit. Movement was so unexpected that the laughter died completely. Hundreds of alien beings watched in confusion as the human ambassador simply walked away from the podium. Kevin looked at Lisa's back for a moment, then quietly gathered his papers. His face was calm, but his hands moved with careful precision. He tucked his datapad under his arm and followed Lisa toward the door. Jake stood still for 3 more seconds, his soldier's training keeping him in position. Then he turned on his heel and walked after his companions. His boots made steady sounds on the crystal floor. The 3 humans moved through the huge hall without hurrying. They did not look back. They did not speak to each other. They just walked toward the exit with quiet dignity. The silence in the hall was complete now. Aliens who had been laughing moments before were now staring in confusion. This was not how things were supposed to go. Usually, when the council offered a compromise, species would argue about it. They would try to negotiate for better terms. They would make speeches about fairness and opportunity. They would beg for another chance, but the humans were not doing any of that. They were just leaving. Veltar was the first to speak. "Where are you going?" she called out. "We are not finished with the discussion." Lisa stopped walking. She was almost at the door now, but she turned around to face the council one more time. Her voice was quiet, but the crystal walls made sure everyone could hear her. "The human delegation withdraws its proposal," she said. "We thank the council for their ... consideration." That was all. No angry words about unfair treatment. No promises to come back with a better plan. No begging for another chance. Just a simple statement and a thank you that somehow sounded more like an ending than a beginning. The 3 humans reached the door. Lisa put her hand on the control panel, and the massive entrance began to open. Beyond it lay the corridors that led to the docking bay where their ship waited. "Wait," Zakron called out. "You cannot just leave. We offered you a compromise, a chance to prove yourselves." Lisa paused in the doorway. She looked back at the hegemony representative with eyes that showed no emotion at all. "We heard your offer." She said, "We decline." "But the asteroid station," Zakron insisted. "It would be perfect for your species. Safe. Appropriate for your level of technology." "No, thank you," Lisa said politely. The door was fully open now. The 3 humans stepped through it and disappeared into the corridor beyond. The door closed behind them with a soft sound that seemed very loud in the silent hall. For a long moment, nobody moved. Aliens looked at each other with expressions of confusion and growing concern. This was not how things were supposed to work. "Well," Veltar said finally, "that was ... unexpected." "They will be back," Kixon said, his crystal form flickering. "With uncertain light. They need our permission to build anything. They have to come back." But even as he said it, The Andromedian did not sound completely sure. There had been something in the way the humans left. Something final. Maybe we were too harsh, said a voice from the back of the hall. It belonged to a Dulcian, one of the few species that had actually tried to build in the Veil Nebula. They seemed genuinely prepared. Prepared. Valtar laughed, but it sounded forced now. They wanted to use metal shields against space storms. That is not preparation. That is suicide. Their research looked thorough, the Dulcian continued. Different from what we tried, but thorough. Different does not mean better, Morgan said. The ancient ethereal's glow was dimmer than before. The nebula has destroyed every attempt to tame it. The humans would have been no exception. Then, why did they leave? Asked another voice. If they knew we were right, why not take the asteroid station? It was a generous offer. Zakron was still standing, staring at the door where the humans had disappeared. They will think about it, he said. When they calm down, they will realize that the asteroid station is a good opportunity. They will come back. But deep down, he was not sure. There had been something in Ambassador Carter's voice when she said, "We decline." Something that suggested she would not be changing her mind. Should we send someone after them? Asked a junior member of the hegemony delegation. To explain that we were only trying to help? No, Zakron said quickly. Let them go. They need time to understand what they are giving up. The council session continued, but the energy was different now. Aliens kept looking at the door, as if expecting the humans to come back. They discussed other business, but their hearts were not in it. In the corridor outside, Lisa, Kevin, and Jake walked toward their ship. Their footsteps echoed in the empty hallway. None of them spoke until they were sure they were alone. That went about as well as expected, Kevin said finally. Worse, Lisa replied. I thought they would just say no. The condescending offer was harder to take. Jake spoke for the first time since entering the hall. They think we are children. Yes, Lisa said. They do. They reached the docking bay where their ship waited. It was a small vessel, built for carrying diplomats rather than fighting wars. Compared to the massive ships that other species used, it looked tiny and fragile, but it was theirs. It had brought them across the galaxy, and it would take them home. As they walked up the ramp, Lisa felt a strange sense of relief. The weight of trying to convince the council was gone. The pressure of representing all of humanity in that huge hall was lifting from her shoulders. So what now? Kevin asked as they settled into their seats. Lisa looked out the viewport at the station that housed the Galactic Council. It was beautiful and impressive, a symbol of cooperation between hundreds of species. But it was also a place where humans were not welcome as equals. Now we go home, she said, and we do what we came here to do. Without permission? Jake asked. Without permission, Lisa confirmed. The ship's engine started up with a quiet hum. Soon they would be in hyperspace, heading back to Earth. Behind them, the council would continue their session, probably already forgetting about the humans who had walked out. Lisa knew something the council did not know. Humanity did not need their permission to be great. They just needed the chance to prove it, and they were going to take that chance, whether the galaxy was ready or not. The ship pulled away from the station and turned toward home. In the council hall, aliens were still talking about other things, convinced that the human problem had been solved. They would learn how wrong they were soon enough. 6 months after the humans walked out of the council hall, Captain Alex Turner was drinking coffee in his quarters when the emergency alert sounded. The sharp beeping cut through the quiet of the night shift aboard the survey ship Discovery. Captain. To the bridge, came the voice of his communications officer, Lieutenant Mary Collins. You need to see this. Alex put down his coffee and hurried to the bridge. The Discovery was one of 12 human ships that had been quietly exploring the Yao. edge of the Veil Nebula for the past 5 months. They were not supposed to be there, but nobody had told them to leave either. On the bridge, Mary was staring at her console with wide eyes. "Sir, we are getting readings from inside the nebula. Energy signatures that do not match anything in our database." "Show me," Alex said. The main screen lit up with a view of the nebula. It looked like a huge cloud of purple and blue gas, beautiful and deadly. Space storms flickered through it like lightning in a thundercloud. But there was something else. Deep inside the nebula, a steady light was shining. It was small but bright, like a star that had been placed exactly where it should not exist. "How long has it been there?" Alex asked. "The light appeared 3 hours ago," Mary replied. "But sir, that is not the strange part. Watch this." She touched her controls, and the screen zoomed in on the light. As it got closer, the image became clearer. Alex felt his breath catch in his throat. It was a space station. A human space station, built in the exact style that Dr. Hayes had presented to the Galactic Council. 5 arms stretched out from a central hub, each one bristling with equipment. "That is impossible," Alex whispered. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission," Mary said. "It is from the station." "Put it through." The screen changed to show a familiar face. Dr. Kevin Hayes looked tired but happy. Behind him, Alex could see the interior of what was clearly a working research station. "Hello, Discovery," Kevin said with a smile. "Welcome to Haven Point." Alex stared at the screen. "Kevin? How did you ... When did you?" "We have been building." "For 4 months," Kevin replied. "It took longer than we expected, but we finally got the shielding system working properly. The station is fully operational as of yesterday." "But the Council said it was impossible," Alex protested. "They said the nebula would destroy anything we built." Kevin's smile got wider. "They were wrong. The nebula does not destroy things that work with it instead of against it. Our shielding system converts the space storms into usable energy. The stronger the storm, the more power we get." On the screen behind Kevin, Alex could see other people working at control panels. They all looked calm and confident, as if building. A station in the most dangerous part of the galaxy was just another day at the office. "Send this data to Earth immediately," Alex told Mary. Then he turned back to the screen. "Kevin, this is incredible. But why did nobody tell us you were building out here?" "Because we needed to make sure it worked first," Kevin replied. "Ambassador Carter decided that the next time we talked to the galaxy, we would have something to show them besides theories and hopes." "And Commander Morrison? Jake is here too. He set up our defense systems." "We have had a few curious visitors, but nothing we could not handle." Alex shook his head in amazement. "What about resources?" "The Council said it would cost more than Earth makes in a year." "The Council was thinking like they always think," Kevin said. "They wanted to fight the nebula with expensive technology. We chose to work with it instead. Our total cost was less than a single Zephyrian battleship." Mary looked up from her console. "Captain, I am detecting something else. Multiple energy signatures heading toward the nebula from different directions." Alex turned to look at her screen. She was right. Ships were coming from all over the galaxy, converging on the nebula like moths drawn to a flame. "They know," Alex said quietly. "Of course they know," Kevin replied from the station. "We started broadcasting on all frequencies an hour ago." "We?" "Wanted to make sure everyone heard about our little success." The next few hours were chaos. Ships from dozens of species arrived at the edge of the nebula. Some were exploration vessels, trying to figure out what the humans had done. Others were military ships, as if their governments thought the humans might be planning something dangerous. Alex watched from the Discovery's bridge as a massive Zephyrian cruiser took position just outside the nebula's edge. It was followed by an Andromedian trade fleet and a group of hegemony warships. "Sir," Mary said, "we are receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian ship. They want to talk to whoever is in charge of the human operation." "Put them through," Alex said. The screen showed the bridge of the alien cruiser. Veltar herself was standing there, her blue skin darker than usual. Her silver eyes were not amused anymore. "Human vessel," she said, "you will explain what you have done here." "We built a research station," Alex replied calmly. "Just like we said we would." "That is impossible. The nebula destroys everything that enters it." "Apparently not everything," Alex said. "Perhaps your information was incomplete." Veltar's eyes flashed with anger. "You had no permission to build here. This sector is under council jurisdiction." "We asked for permission," Alex reminded her. "You laughed at us. That does not give you the right to ignore council authority." Alex was about to reply when another voice cut in. It was Kevin, broadcasting from Haven Point. "Attention all vessels," he said. "This is Dr. Kevin Hayes, Director of Haven Point Research Station. We are pleased to announce that our first mining operation has been successful." The screen changed to show a view from the station. In the distance, Alex could see something that made his heart race. A huge chunk of crystal was floating in space, held in place by the station's tractor beams. "We have successfully extracted our first sample of what we are calling fold crystals," Kevin continued. "These crystals appear to be formed by the nebula's space storms. They contain exotic matter that could revolutionize faster-than-light travel." The transmission showed close-up images of the crystals. They were beautiful, glowing with internal light that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the nebula itself. "Our preliminary tests suggest that these crystals could reduce hyperspace travel time by up to 300%, Kevin said. "We estimate that a ship equipped with a fold crystal drive could cross the galaxy in 1/3 the time it currently takes." Alex watched the faces of the alien commanders on his screen. Veltar looked like she had been hit by lightning. The other species representatives were showing similar expressions of shock and disbelief. "Initial production will be limited," Kevin continued, "but we hope to have our first commercial shipments ready within 6 months. We look forward to working with all species to bring this technology to the galaxy." The transmission ended. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Veltar found her voice. "You will turn over all research and materials to the Council immediately," she said. "This discovery is too important to be controlled by one species." Alex smiled. "I think you will need to discuss that with Dr. Hayes, but I should mention that Earth has already filed patents for the fold crystal technology with the Galactic Trade Commission." "Patents?" Veltar's voice was nearly a shriek. "You cannot patent something discovered in council space." "Actually," Alex said, "we can." The Veil Nebula was classified as unclaimed territory after the last species abandoned their attempt to use it. Our lawyers checked very carefully. On his screen, Alex could see other alien commanders talking frantically to their crews. The implications were sinking in. Humanity had not just built a station in the nebula. They had claimed it and everything in it. "Sir," Mary said quietly, "we are receiving transmission requests from over 40 different species. They all want to talk to someone in authority." Alex looked at the screens showing all the alien ships. A few hours ago, these same species had considered humans to be barely capable of space travel. Now they were all desperate to talk. "Tell them they can contact Haven Point directly," Alex said. "Dr. Hayes will be happy to discuss trade agreements." He leaned back in his chair and picked up his coffee. It was cold now, but he drank it anyway. Outside, the most powerful species in the galaxy were scrambling to figure out how to deal with the humans they had dismissed as children. It was going to be a very interesting day. 3 weeks later, Lisa Carter stood in the same council hall where she had been laughed at 6 months earlier. But everything was different now. The crystal walls still changed colors when different species spoke, but the mood in the room was completely changed. Instead of the relaxed atmosphere of beings who controlled the galaxy, there was tension and worry. Lisa was not standing at the small podium in the center anymore. She had been given a seat at the main council table, right next to the representatives of the most powerful species in the galaxy. The change in seating was small, but everyone understood what it meant. Humans were no longer junior members begging for permission. They were equals who had something the galaxy needed. The human delegation recognizes the concerns that have been raised, Lisa said calmly. We are prepared to discuss reasonable terms for sharing fold crystal technology. Around the table, alien representatives leaned forward eagerly. The same beings who had dismissed humanity as children were now hanging on every word she said. Veltar spoke first. The Zephyrian Republic offers a full technology exchange. All of our advanced shielding systems, our fastest ships, our most sophisticated weapons. In return, we ask only for access to the fold crystals. Lisa made a note on her data pad. We appreciate the offer. We will consider it along with all the others. The Andromedian Trade Federation can offer exclusive mining rights to 17 systems, Kixon said quickly, plus favorable trade agreements for the next century. Also noted, Lisa replied. One by one, the most powerful species in the galaxy made their offers. Each one was more desperate than the last. The fold crystals had changed everything, and everyone knew it. Ships equipped with the new technology could travel 3 times faster than anything else in the galaxy. Trade routes that took months could be completed in weeks. Military campaigns that were impossible due to distance became easy. Whoever controlled the fold crystals would control the future of galactic civilization. We have also received formal apologies from several species, Lisa continued. The hegemony has withdrawn their offer of an asteroid mining station and has requested to renegotiate their relationship with humanity. Zakron shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The hegemony recognizes that we may have underestimated human capabilities. We are prepared to offer full membership in the Galactic Council, with all the privileges that entails. Full membership? Lisa asked. Including voting rights on all council matters? Yes, Zakron said through gritted teeth. Full membership. Lisa had been dreaming of this moment for years. Full council membership was what humanity had been working towards since they first achieved faster-than-light travel. It would give them a voice in galactic affairs and protection under council law. But now that she had it, the victory felt hollow. They were only offering it because they were afraid of what would happen if they did not. We will consider the membership offer, Lisa said. But first, we need to address some concerns about Haven Point. She touched her datapad, and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed the Veil Nebula, but now it looked very different than it had 6 months ago. The nebula was still there, still dangerous and beautiful, but now it was also busy. Haven Point had grown from a single research station to a small city floating in space. 5 more stations had been built, each one specializing in different aspects of fold crystal research and production. Human ships moved through the nebula like they owned it, which they did. The space storms that had destroyed every other attempt to tame the nebula now powered human technology and protected human interests. Several species have expressed concern about human expansion in the nebula, Lisa continued. Some have suggested that we are being too aggressive in our development. You have built 6 stations in 6 months, Veltar said. At this rate, you will control the entire region within a year. That is the plan, Lisa said simply. The admission sent a ripple of shock through the council. Aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. They had expected the humans to be grateful for their new position and willing to share everything they had discovered. Instead, humanity was acting like a species that intended to keep what they had earned. The Council has jurisdiction over all unclaimed space, Morden said. His ancient voice carried the weight of thousands of years. The Veil Nebula cannot be claimed by a single species. Actually, it can, Lisa replied. Our legal team has been very thorough. Any species that successfully develops technology to safely operate in previously uninhabitable space has the right to claim that space as sovereign territory. She touched her datapad again, and the hologram changed to show legal documents. The precedent was established by the ethereals themselves, 3,000 years ago, when they claimed the corona storms near the galactic core. Mordon's glow flickered with what might have been embarrassment. The ancient being had forgotten about that particular legal ruling, but it was still valid. This is unacceptable, Zakron said. No single species can be allowed to control technology this important. Why not? Lisa asked. When the Zephyrians developed quantum shields, did they share them freely? When the Andromedians created their trade networks, did they give everyone equal access? When the Hegemony built their first star destroyers, did they ask permission from the Council? Each question hit like a physical blow. Every species at the table had done exactly what humanity was doing now. They had kept their advantages to themselves until forced to share. That was different, Veltar protested. Those technologies were not as revolutionary as the fold crystals. Different how? Lisa asked. Because those species were older? More experienced? More deserving? The Zephyrian representative fell silent. She could not answer without admitting that she saw humans as inferior. Let me be clear about humanity's position, Lisa continued. We are willing to share fold crystal technology, but we will do it on our terms, at our pace, and for fair compensation. What do you want? Kixenth asked. First, we want respect, Lisa said. No more condescending offers. No more treating us like children who need guidance. We want to be treated as equals. Done, several voices said at once. Second, we want fair trade agreements. Humanity has been getting the worst prices for our exports and paying the highest prices for imports. That ends now. Agreed, Zakron said quickly. Third, we want access to the Galactic Communication Network. Full access, not the limited channels we have been restricted to. Of course, Veltar said. Lisa looked around the table at the eager faces. 6 months ago, these same beings had laughed at humanity's ambitions. Now they were agreeing to everything she asked for without even thinking about it. Finally, Lisa said, we want an official apology from this council for the treatment we received during our last visit. The silence that followed was complete. Aliens who had been quick to agree to everything else suddenly found this request much harder to accept. An apology? Veltar asked. Yes, Lisa said. A formal recognition that the Council was wrong to dismiss our proposal without proper consideration. A statement that humanity deserves the same respect as any other spacefaring species. She leaned back in her chair and waited. This was the real test. Anyone could agree to trade deals and communication access. But admitting they had been wrong? That was much harder for proud species to accept. Zakron spoke first. The hegemony acknowledges that we may have been hasty in our judgment of human capabilities. The Andromedian Trade Federation agrees that our initial assessment was incomplete. Kixenth added. One by one, the other species made similar statements. None of them used the word sorry, but the meaning was clear. They had been wrong about humanity. Veltar was the last to speak. The proud Zephyrian looked like the words physically hurt her. The Zephyrian Republic recognizes that we underestimated human potential, she said finally. Do the E regret our lack of foresight? Lisa nodded. It was not a perfect apology, but it was enough. Thank you. We accept your acknowledgement of the situation. She stood up, and the movement sent another ripple through the council. Were the humans leaving again? Humanity will begin sharing fold crystal technology next month, Lisa announced. Production is limited, so we will start with small quantities, distributed through a fair lottery system. As production increases, more species will gain access. What about pricing? Kixanth asked. Market rates, Lisa replied. The same rates that other species charge for their unique technologies. It was a reasonable answer, but everyone knew what it meant. The fold crystals would be expensive, at least at first. Humanity was not giving anything away. We also want to invite selected species to send observers to Haven Point, Lisa continued. They can see our operations firsthand and perhaps learn something about working with dangerous environments instead of fighting them. The offer was generous, but it also served humanity's interests. Letting other species see the human stations would prove that everything was legitimate and legal. The human delegation thanks the Council for their time, Lisa said. We look forward to a new era of cooperation and mutual respect. She gathered her papers and walked toward the exit. But this time, she was not walking away in quiet defeat. She was walking away as the representative of a species that had proven itself. Behind her, the Council erupted in urgent conversations. Species that had been allies were now calm.